Hey guys, it's Villain Theory, and we have brand new Jubilee cards to show you. Not these on screen, but a couple of others that have come from the Fantasy Flight Games live stream that was today. Tony and Caleb were playing, and Tony was playing Jubilee. And yes, it's Magneto Day, and I'll be doing my deep dive into Magneto's cards tomorrow. But for now, I just thought it'd be fun to talk about this. And I'm really excited. So the first card we got to see was her Obligation, Grounded, gifted to Jubilation League play, and it has the when revealed effect, change to alter ego form. And that's kind of strange because normally the obligations give you a choice whether to change or not, and it has a response after you play a Jubilee event, remove this card from the game. She's an event-based hero, she wants to remove events anyway, so this on paper seems really easy to deal with. However, the downside is, to get back to hero form, you have to pay the additional cost of spending 2 resources of the same type. Now, this was described on the stream as being a little bit tricky for Jubilee, because she wants to be running lots of different types of resources because she gets benefits for paying for her events with different types of resources. But if you have 5 cards from hero form, you have 5 cards. What does that mean in a game with 3 different resource icons? Well, you're basically guaranteed to get a duplicate, so you can always pay for this and get back to hero form. So the kind of price to pay for this one actually isn't very high at all, in my opinion. I do love the art as well on this card, by the way. But yeah, pay 2 resources, get back to hero form, just play your event, as normal. Assuming you didn't have to get rid of your any kind of a Jubilee event to make sure you could pay for this. So it could be a bit awkward, but it's going to sit there. You're now in hero form. You probably can just wait a turn. There's very few cards in the game that are going to force you to alter ego again and prevent you from playing that event when you find it. So yeah, not too bad as obligations go. Since she gets forced to alter ego and it's not too bad, I kind of wonder if this makes her want to run Mutant Education more to get some of her identity cards back into her deck, but also Weapon X, which is an alter ego action to take damage, and you can then discard cards until you get an identity specific card. For her, with so many events, it's almost guaranteed to be an event, but not too sure if it's really worth worrying about. It does seem pretty easy to deal with. The next card that was revealed was Grand Finale, which maybe I should have saved for the end of this video based on its name now that I think about it. But this is a free cost attack, super powered sort of traded event, and hero action, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Then for each different resource type that you paid for it with, you get to deal 2 damage more to whichever enemies you want. So effectively, 2 damage, pay for it with a different resource type, 2 damage, a different resource type, 2 more damage, and then finally 1 more resource type, you get another damage, 8 damage total. So it's a kind of a swinging web kick, but you need the right resources, but you can split the damage up where it goes. Now, I initially misunderstood this card. Someone in the live stream chat actually corrected me. I thought it could do 10 damage because it's got 4 different resource icons on there, right? That'd be 2 damage initially, then another 2 for each of those, up to 10 damage. But because the cost is capped at 3 and overpaying doesn't work for this, it doesn't work for this kind of thing in general, this does stop at 8 damage, unless you're against Strife or something like that to, up the initial cost. But 8 damage, then, amounts of 2, still very strong. This will combo with something like her Sunglasses, which after you play an attack event with different resources, you get to deal more damage. So this would theoretically, with the Sunglasses in play, enable you to deal 11 damage. But it gets even better. As was also pointed out in the stream, you can use Aggressive Energy or Warrior Skill to boost up every instance of damage it deals. So if I play this with Aggressive Energy, instead of dealing 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, and so on, it's actually dealing 3 damage at a time, which ends up dealing 12 damage, which is very good. But if I were to have both copies of Aggressive Energy in hand, or, an Aggressive Energy in hand and Warrior Skill on the board, I'm getting up to 16 damage. But if I've got 2 copies of Aggressive Energy, well, you see where this is going. It just gets crazy high. And the card that I didn't see talked about that I wanted to bring some attention to is this player side scheme, Keep Up the Pressure. This came with Iceman, and this is probably the best card in the game for this. Maybe up there with Telekinetic Blast for Cable, probably some others I'm forgetting, but this is so good. Keep Up the Pressure. When defeated, each player gets to search for an attack event. Until the end of the phase, each attack event deals 1 additional damage. This is going to work just like Aggressive Energy. It's going to go from dealing 2 damage to 3 damage. So you can use Keep Up the Pressure to find Grand Finale and immediately deal all that damage. Now, you could play Keep Up the Pressure, wait until you've got Aggressive Energy in hand, maybe wait until Warrior Skill is on the board, and then go in for the ultimate combo where this is going to deal with Keep Up the Pressure, Aggressive Energy, and Warrior Skill. Not both Aggressive Energies, I think that's kind of unlikely, but you definitely could do that. But just with those 3, you're getting 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, and 5 damage. That's 20 damage for a free cost card. Yes, you did have to have the side scheme to do that. Yes, you had to make sure the right cards were set up on the board, but the amount of burst damage this can provide is enormous, especially when if we couple it again with her sunglasses, that's potentially 23 damage here. That's almost enough to take out Expert Ronan's final stage. So that's pretty fun, pretty crazy card here. Really, really good at finishing off the villain. This is going to end a lot of your solo games. Very strong. I actually really like this. And I like the name, the art. I'm okay on the art, but the name, just the effect, really fun. And last but not least, we have a basic ally, and it's an X-Men ally, but it's a bit different than you might be expecting. Cinch is a free cost basic ally, 1 fort, 1 attack, 3 health, play any if your identity has the X-Men trait. Not that impressive, right? Well, the interrupt says when you use a basic power, exhaust Cinch, you get +1 to the power for this use. So if I'm making a basic attack, I can exhaust Cinch, and instead of maybe dealing 2 damage, I'm now dealing 3. So kind of interesting how that works. It's almost like it's attacking for 1, kind of like Black Cat, without consequential damage, but it has to go where your basic attack is going. Or forwarding for 1 with no consequential, but it has to go where your basic fort is going, and so on. But I think this gets interesting with the forwarding when you consider cards like Overwatch, which can kind of duplicate the amount of threat you're dealing. So if you're overwatching some threat removal from a basic fort, Cinch kind of gives you 2, so that's kind of interesting. I also think it's interesting that since it works on basic powers, it can help you trigger Unflappable more reliably because you can boost your defense. So it's kind of like another armored vest for your initial defense to make sure you guarantee that card draw. Really, really interesting. And someone on my Discord pointed out as well, I really should have looked up names, I'm so sorry. I pointed out that because it works for a basic power and it's not a hero form interrupt, you can use this to boost your recovery as well. So a very flexible ally, a little bit slow to pay off in my opinion. Kind of going to be... It's going to struggle to find room in decks, I think, because X-Men decks are very competitive. There are so many good X-Men allies, like just in basic, with Triage and Beak now, among others. I love Legion. Shadowcat's really interesting. But this is an interesting card, and I wonder if it's got some possibilities with boosting basic stats that I haven't quite figured out yet, or that, it's just really interesting how this works. I'm quite surprised that they chose to lock this one to X-Men identities, unless there's something with a non-X-Men hero that I'm forgetting that would be kind of, busted with this. But regardless, I think it's a very interesting ally. It really is an odd ally. I think someone on my Discord as well commented that it seems more like a support card. It really seems like the Soaring Acrobatics card that came with Angel's Pack that boosts these stats for an aerial character attacking or something. So yeah, very, very strange, but very interesting. Cool art as well. Love the colors here. I think someone on my Discord said that as well. If you guys want to join the conversation, there will be a link below. And that about does it. But this does mean that we have seen all of Jubilee's cards now. Not the Nemesis set, I don't think, but we have seen everything. So this is a screenshot from my video where I went into a deep dive about her cards. We can count all of her cards based on the little numbers in the corner that they show. The only one we were missing was number 12, which is Grand Finale. So yeah, hopefully this was interesting. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.